Good afternoon. My name is Brian Tomkin. I'm the CEO of the Dry Cleaning Institute of Australia. We represent over 70% of the volume of dry cleaning done in Australia and have been looking after member interests for the last 70 years plus. Today we have three of our members, all based in Victoria, which has been the hardest hit state with regard to lockdown and general issues in relation to COVID-19. And I'll introduce them one at a time and they'll share their story with you, just the main points. So I'm starting with Mark Faulkner. Mark, perhaps tell us who you are and where your business is.
Thanks, Brian. My name's Mark Faulkner. We own a company, Bayside Dry Cleaners. We have 4 locations around Melbourne. Currently, since COVID has started, we've had to terminate 4 of our staff, survive on roughly 6 weeks of income for 1 week of trading. We have been to VCAT twice and waiting a 3rd time to go to VCAT with our landlords for rent relief. JobKeeper's been fantastic, but of late we still needed to keep going. Our stores are currently running at about 65% down on trade, and that has been going up and down between 65 to 85% downturn since COVID started. We have had a few kicks on the way, but after the last lot of COVID shutdowns in Victoria, it has really affected our business. And business at the moment, we do a pickup along St Kilda Road every day, and there is nobody there. The government says about 60% of people are back, but I would believe around 30% would be back at work at this stage. And we have done a summary on a 6-month cash flow for our business. And we believe on the cash flow on last year, we will be $100,000 in the red in 6 months' time. Thank you for your time.
Thanks very much. Nick, what about you?
Thanks, Brian. Well, my name's Nick Bancroft. I run Bancroft Dry Cleaning. We are located in South Yarra. I'm a 4th generation dry cleaner. My family's been going since 1913. And the good fortune is that I've got 2 sons, that both of which, when they're 5th generation. The bad news is that we can't guarantee that there will be a business there for them in the longer term as a direct result of this COVID shutdown. The reason for that, and I completely concur with Mark, is that the most recent lockdown has been the most savage. I would have said that the 2nd lockdown was the most savage. During that, we were down approximately 85%. We've come down to about 50%. We've come back up to about 50%. But the most recent lockdown was very, very savage. One thing that has been an experience that we've learned very quickly is, unlike hospitality and other industries that have been widely supported by government, if we miss an event, if we miss the Brownlow gowns, if we miss Spring Racing Carnival, if we miss long wet winters or long cold wet winters with the heavy garments, they are gone. And if people are locked down and they change their habits and they're not going to work and they're not going out, and the new casualisation of the workforce, even when they do go to the office, they're much, much more casual. We don't snap back. We require, a certain number of people at work. Just because 70% are allowed to be in their offices doesn't mean that they are. To give you an example, prior to COVID, where we were averaging about 3,000 shirts a week, and that's just one segment of our business, we're now lucky to do 600 to 700 shirts a week. Combined with that, there is a loss of suits, formal wear. As there's no functions going, there's no formal wear, there's no religious events, weddings, there was no Melbourne Fashion Festival. There's no travellers coming in for big events, and all of those impact our industry. I do believe that we've been forgotten, and I believe that we were allowed to stay open as essential service providers during all of the Victorian lockdowns, but that didn't guarantee our survival. In fact, as Mark said, and as I'm sure David will concur, most of us were down around between 80 and 90% during the lockdowns, and we were penalised for that. The government excluded us from all rounds of government grants, all while giving hospitality cash handouts, money for umbrellas, money for tables, money for chairs, and taking away car parking spaces that all of the strip shopping centres require. They've been given to hospitality. Now, I've got no problem with hospitality, but they do snap back, and we are definitely not snapping back. Once we miss those events, we've lost them for the year. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks very much, Nick. And David, what about you?
Yeah, my name's David Hudson. I run Master Dry Cleaners. We've got 7 stores in Melbourne. As an extension to what Nick and Mark have both said, never before has it been more apparent in the dry cleaning industry that we're an extension of the event industry. As Nick mentioned, we rely so heavily on major events, particularly in Melbourne, for people coming in and people going out actually and wearing their nice clothes. We rely on 6 to 8% of the population who use dry cleaning regularly, and that's a tiny percentage of the population. So if that goes down to 4 to 5%, since people change their habits, that's going to impact our business dramatically for the future. The government handouts by the state government that we missed out on was a real kick in the guts for us, considering that we were allowed to stay open, but no one was using our services at all in those times, and we were also 85 to 90% down. Restaurants, those hospitality industries, were still allowed to trade, but through different avenues like home delivery, whereas we weren't able to do anything different. We already offer pickup and delivery services. There just wasn't a need for those in the community at all. I don't really have much else to add other than saying that we're a family business. We employ over 45 staff. One of our major focuses during this COVID lockdown period was trying to maintain our staff, and we've been lucky enough to do that through the JobKeeper program. But I cannot guarantee that those staff are going to be able to continue on after the JobKeeper program finishes. We've done the cash forecasting as Mark has done, and it looks very glum. We're going to try and invest what we have going forward, but the main priority of that is not to make money. It's to keep our business alive and keep our staff in work. And hopefully that will turn us into the next 2 to 3 years where we can start to turn a profit. But apart from that, I don't think we will. So that's pretty much all I've got to say, I guess, Brian. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thanks very much, David. Just one final point. A number of our members are in fact tied in with the tourism industry. They service hotels, casinos, large accommodation places, and these guys are down over 60%. They also invest millions of dollars in their plant and equipment. They employ large number of staff, relatively. So these guys have a very bleak future as well. Thanks for your time for viewing this, and thanks to our 3 participants. So we hope the dry cleaning industry will survive, obviously, but it's one of our greatest challenges getting over these hurdles. Thank you once again.